Hey guys, this is Heinzie from the ANZGC Guild and welcome to the Escape Podcast. This show is recorded in front of a live studio audience, so pour yourself some blue milk, drop some Death Star ice cubes in, kick back, relax and enjoy.
One is a territory war specialist from Australia. The other is a territory battle tactician from the US. Together, there are no signs of intelligent life on board. But with over a combined 45 years of entertainment under their belts, the one thing we are sure of is that you will be entertained. The CFH Network presents the Escape Podcast, a weekly show about the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Live from the network studios of Yavin 4, here are your hosts, Scotty McLaren and Paul Anthony.
Coming up on this week's edition of the Escape Podcast, we talk all the raids in the Round Holotable with Reality Skewed Gaming. The Nev gives us great insight for beginning players with the raids. Scotty sits down with Zylo Takedown about the Q&A and all things Galaxy of Heroes. Plus, we have a huge announcement about next week at the end of this week's show. All this and breaking news as and if it happens on this week's edition of the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Podcast News.
Yes, and big welcome to everyone on the Escape Podcast for this week, because the developers have actually been hitting the forums just recently, and they've been doing a little bit of a Q&A. And Paul, man, look, there were some pretty good questions out there from the people in the Galaxy of Heroes universe at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, especially the second one that was asked about iOS devices when attempting a territory war. The game shuts down going into battle. When will we see a hot patch fix for this from some guy named Scotty McLaren?
Yeah, I actually asked that question to Carrie too, and I'm glad that she answered it so nicely too, because basically she just told me, you know what, Scotty, you need to get a different device, mate.
Yeah, I mean, quit living in the Stone Age, for the love of Pete. Now, before we get farther into this, we do have to mention that you are right now listening to something that was recorded early in the morning on Friday, late day for Scotty, due to some stuff that came up with us. Scotty has to work, and Mrs. Anthony was admitted to the hospital yet again. Yay! Yeah. But we wanted to make sure that we bring you the premiere podcast for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So you get a, right now, at this time, recorded version of the Escape Pod cast for May 31st, 2019. Welcome to the show, Scotty.
Well, mate, welcome to the show to you too, man. And a pinch and a punch for the first day of the month from us here in Australia, because it is the 1st of June. And loving life over here. Well, not quite when we record this, but it will be when you talk to us on the show. But anyway.
Exactly. Now, I will say this. There is a possibility that some new info will come down from the time we record this to the time that we air this. If that does happen, stay tuned on our Discord server. We will announce a special edition. What did we call it, Scotty? We talked about it, but it's already passed my mind.
Yeah.
Catch up or something?
Yeah, no. It's the Escape Podcast Extra, which will be coming your way at around about 11 o'clock. So if we get some more information, and we do think that might just happen, Paul.
Yes, absolutely. Now, let's go ahead. Now that you guys know what's going on, we're going to jump right into these questions. A lot of them were standard questions that a lot of people would ask, but there were a lot of things that stuck out. Somebody asked, how will you balance out new content for long-term players while making sure new players don't have an insurmountable task to catch up? I mean, we're seeing, even in the guild that we both belong to, we've seen some really, really impressive young accounts that have the big items, but they don't have the ancillary items, if you will. And that's how you play catch up, by doing well early in your career, rather than back when we were all gearing Clone Wars Chewbacca.
Yes,
but
Jedi Counselor.
It's all about
Jedi Counselor. Yeah,
and it's all about keeping the staying up with your own plan. I mean, we have Nev giving out advice for a reason. If you're a young account, you can hang with the big dogs.
That's right. You can. And look, if you've got a 1.5 to 2 million GP sort of an account, you can certainly come and probably join us in Yavin 4. But I don't know, Paul, what's our GP range, man? Like, what are we allowed? Sorry, Mega Crippleton, not allowed to say that.
we do have a 3.5 million. Our guild. We're part of an alliance, so I mean we've got plenty of spots for anybody.
Yeah.
But in our personal guild, we do have that 3.5 mil minimum with going after some of the new legendary tunes. Yeah. Now, Carrie's answer to this was interesting, and it's kind of funny. She says it's an interesting catch-22 because we do want to move away from a single meta team. The existence of them has allowed people to catch up much more quickly than they would be able to in a more diverse meta. The way we think about the meta, though, is we are often exploring teams that have a value for endgame players, for those operating in mid-GP brackets, for people who are more casual, and everything in between. They find patterns in different player segments and different teams at the top, and think about how you use those teams to graduate to the next tier. That sounds a lot like the 5 pillars, doesn't it?
Oh, doesn't it just? Yeah, Warrior will be happy to see that, I think.
And it's not a perfect science, but it's something we discuss and try to balance for this reason. Now, that slightly does contradict what she said about how she does want to reward the pay-to-play players. Yeah. And that's fine. There should be different metas. And I've said it from day one on this show that for what it's worth, we are going to get not the meta that the whales want, but the meta that everyone deserves. And if that can be done correctly, which I think it's going to, we're going to be in great shape.
Look, man, I feel as if, I give up on the arena. I'm going all out for the Grand Arena. We'll talk more about the championship shortly, but look, I just think that that's going to be where the game's going to move to, man. Like the Grand Arena championships, the territory battles, the territory wars, man, that's where it's at. And look, for me, man, I find that the best part of this game is working together with my guild to try and accomplish something, like in a territory war or a territory battle. I really enjoy. Since I came to Yavin 4, man, and I work under you with the territory battles, I've really enjoyed them. I really have. They've been lots of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, but they've been really good.
I appreciate that, and I just like to help the guild overall get the maximum amount of enjoyment as long as everyone participates. I mean, that's what everyone should get.
Yeah.
If everybody does something to the best of their ability, they should be getting, and forgive me for presuming, items towards Gear 13, which they said is coming. There's your segue, Scotty. Take it.
Yeah, that's right, man. They did say it was coming. Just like our very own Zed likes to say, it's coming. Especially with Gear 13. Yeah, so they did announce this, that when it came to the territory battles coming up very, very soon, Carrie actually said that Gear 13 was coming with the release of the brand new Geonosian territory territory battles. It came from the question, will there be a level cap increase or Gear 13 coming with the new Geonosian TB? It was actually not Carrie, it was Cyanides who says Gear 12 finishes. You can get your characters to Gear 13 will be coming with the Geonosian territory battles, but there is no level cap increase. Now, look, a lot of people jumped on Reddit prior to this post coming out with the Q&A, and they were saying, give us something for endgame players. And then as soon as this announcement was made, they were all like, no, we don't want Gear 13. That's not what we want. I mean, what do you want? I mean, like, that's the thing.
And I'd be interested to see if it's the same damn people saying it.
Yeah. I know. And, for me, man, like, I know that a number of game changers and the like have come out and had their way and had their say with what they think about Gear 13. And look, I don't mind naming him. I mean, like, he's one of our good friends and, we wouldn't be a part of this network if it wasn't for him. But on this occasion, right, I actually disagree with Cubs fan Han on his last video saying that he might have to change guilds to go and get the new Territory Battle Gear 13 that he's chasing for his next characters. Man, no. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna play the devil's advocate for a moment here. He needs to score very, very high damage in the Sith raid in order to place in the top 10 and get those juicy full gear pieces. Now, if he's having to do that, and Cubs and I both talked about this on his weekly chat after that, and he and I completely disagree. And he gave me permission to let everybody know that it's him that I'm talking about in this situation. But it's pretty much any game changer that's exhibiting Chicken Little syndrome. The sky is not falling. What's going on is that they're balancing it out. Now, if you want those big juicy gear pieces, you're going to put in the effort. Yep. You've done it to yourself going for these guilds that are hugely territory war based and hugely, inflated rosters. You've done it to yourself. If you cannot place in that, maybe that guild, and I'm sorry, maybe that guild is not for you. I'm not saying that directly to Cubs, but if you're experiencing that problem and you feel slighted that you're not doing so well in the Sith raid, then what you need to do is maybe look at a lower guild, go merc if you have to during territory wars or something, but find a way to make it happen for yourself. But remember the people that got you there.
Yeah. Totally. I couldn't agree with you more on that, man. Like, that was a great rant from Paul Anthony right there, right here on the Escape Podcast. It was a fantastic one. That's one of your best. Hey, look, I've got to say that, look, from my perspective, you're 100% right. But having said that, those people that did get you there, to getting you the 7-star Treya, and perhaps even the Gear 12 Plus, Treya that you might have, that shiny little toy that you had at this time last year when the Sith raid came out, and perhaps even your clearing battles and your winning lots in territory wars. You got to sum it up. You got to weigh it up. You got to say, okay, which one's better for me? Am I going to be going for the Gear 13 pieces, or do I stick with this and farm Zetas? For me, I think that the Zeta crunch is far more important than Gear 13 right now. So I would be saying, cool, stick with what you're doing, Cubs. Stay in your territory war arena. He'll probably hate me for saying this, but hey, sorry, Cubby, but this is how it is. Stay in your territory war arena, man, and have fun with the game. Don't go chasing things that you don't need to chase right now, man. He's got so many good characters. That's the way I look at it, Paul.
And I honestly think that this whole Gear 13 pieces are coming with this spectacular territory battle that seems to be promised to us. So I really think that the Geo territory battles, whatever they may be, whatever they bring to us, are going to be this diamond in the rough that people have been clamoring for.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. And you know what? Here's the other thing that I'm going to throw out there. For all those people that have been deflating their GP just for the Grand Arena, Well, the time has come where it's going to hurt you for doing that, because the territory battle is going to be rewarding you with that gear 13. So you might want to start putting your mods back on your characters, especially if this territory battle comes very soon.
If it's true. Yeah, if it's true that it is gear 13 that we get with this. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to finding out.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Give us some tidbits here.
Well, I know that you're really, really keen to find out there, Paul. But look, I just think that, look, guys, seriously, Gear 13. Look, I've just got a number of characters up to Gear 12, man. I'm in no rush to get my characters to Gear 13. What's it going to give you? It's going to give you what? A bit more strength, a little bit more protection, and a little bit more health. Hey, it'd be Gear 13 would be great for Grievous, but I don't know about too many others.
Well, don't forget that when you do hit that upgrade button, you do get a lot more bonuses of everything that you put on with that gear. So, I mean, yeah, Grievous is going to... I mean, if that Gear 13 piece, that Gear 12 plus as I'm seeing it, if that piece is another health piece... Dear God, Grievous is going to be a monster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? He's going to be turning into Quagmire from Family Guy. Every time he hits, he's going to be like, giggity, 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 goo.
Now, one of the questions that really stuck out to me that Carrie answered during the QA was, will you set the hard node battle from 5 to 8 battles permanently? It'll really help the free-to-play players to follow the meta. No, I'm going to step in before I read Carrie's response to this. 8. The difference between 5 and 8 is pretty negligible, to be honest with you. You're maybe getting 1 extra shard. 2 if you're lucky on it. Earlier today, I pulled 5 shards of Rose Tico. That was amazing. How many times can you think that I would actually say that? But hey, hit her and Vandor Chewbacca. That's all I got to go. Remember that. That's all I have to go to have everything ready for platoons for whatever they throw at us for this next thing. With that being said, her response, not in the near future. The game launched, and this was kind of a history smackdown, and I loved it. The game launched at 3 originally, and it was definitely tuned too tight. So for those complaining, I want my 8, Pepperidge Farm remembers when it was 3.
I remember when it was 3, and that was ridiculous. The 5 was the 5 is great. It's a good middle ground, and you know what? At this point in time, all I've got to say on this is that Capital Games have the middle ground, not the high ground, but they've got the middle ground on this one instead of the 8. That's the way I see it, man. Hey, we're in Clone Wars content. Yeah, we're in Clone Wars content. Come on, there's got to be lines. I have the middle ground. But
I slightly dislike you.
You're breaking my heart. But no, look, I don't think so. I think that this is perfect. The 5 is fine. I mean, like for me right now, you know what, guys? I've got nothing to farm. All I'm farming is gear. So that's all I really need. I'm in the lucky position. Yeah, okay, sure. There's some people out there that want to try and farm their Enfys Nest, and they want to try and get the next character. They want to get that new shiny character that works for them in Grand Arena and all the like. That's fine. But as they say here, it was talking about the release of more marquees. They bumped it up to 5 permanently when they released a few more. But when they got an influx of marquees, which we saw from the beginning of last year through until around about, November, Paul, I think it was just continuous marquees. And then after that, they had to bump it up to 8 so that we'd actually get the characters there. But now, this year, what have we seen? We've seen 2 marquees come out this year, and that was Droideka and also the B1 Battle Droid, and we haven't seen another marquee yet. So, for mine, I don't think that, I think that they're right. Keeping it at 5 at the moment is probably a good middle ground. But I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
I mean, that's not even devil's advocate for me. That is the truth. The truth. The truth. And nothing but the truth.
I like it. Well, look, there was another thing here that they said, there was another question. What is the plan for adding more PvE content to the game? Many days there is absolutely nothing to do in the events table, and even more days there is nothing useless like a training droid heist. When we expect more fun, challenging, rewarding, playable PvE content? That was a question that was thrown out at Carrie. And look, first of all...
Before you read that.
I wasn't going to read that. I was going to give you my take. Yeah, go. You give your take.
The training droid heist, it's not for you. Not everything in this game is for the player that's playing it.
Yeah.
Not everything is going to be for the lower end game player. Everything's not going to be for the higher end game player. You want to talk about, just earlier in the question, somebody asking, how can I catch up? The training droid heist is not for you, endgame player. Allow them to catch up.
Yeah.
You want somebody new to fight, right?
Totally. And this comes back to that whole thing of the doom and gloom. Now, Paul, before I get into what Carrie's response is to this question, we'll reread it in a minute, but before I get to Carrie's response, there's been a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people that are out there talking doom and gloom for this game. Now, I actually did a little bit of research, Paul, and I shared this with you, and, and I think this is fantastic. The top grossing apps of all time in the iTunes chart right now, guess where Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes comes, Paul? Number 51.
According to YouTube, I'm going to say it's going to come in probably at 75.
No, you're wrong. 51, mate. And that's in amongst the likes of Spotify. That's also in there up against the likes of YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, all of those sorts of apps that you'd normally find, that you'd be downloading straight away. It's narrowly getting beaten by Minecraft. So there you go. So the game's actually in a pretty good spot. Now, where does the game fit right now in terms of new players coming to the game? I can tell you it still comes in all over. This includes Spotify, this includes Fortnite, this includes every single game that's out there, Clash of the Titans, whatever, comes in at number 128 all up on iTunes. Now, I don't know where it fits on Android, but in terms of iTunes, there's your statistics and your figures from my point of view, man. I mean, like, people can say, oh, well, my YouTube videos are down. Look, our content's down a little bit too in terms of people coming to us as well. But having said that, you know what? It is what it is. And, maybe some people are just using this moment to gear up what they want to do, which is exactly what this whole thing was about. This whole break that we've got right now in the game. Now, with that, Paul, what's your take on this, man? Do you agree with that or no?
You're hitting the nail on the head in the same way that I am.
Well, look, so I'll go back to the question. What is the plan for adding more PvE content to the game? Many days there is absolutely nothing to do in the events table, and even more days there is something useless like a training droid heist. Well, as Paul said, that's not for you. When can we expect more fun, challenging, rewarding, replayable PvE content? Well, I'm going to read Carrie's response here. She says, well, first off, have you heard about Territory Battle Geonosis? Full disclosure, May had a number of errors that are my fault. So that's good. She's owned it, with all of the problems that we saw in the game. That's good. Good on you, Carrie. She's owned that, which is good. She says, moving forward, there was some missing gaps. Moving forward, they made a number of process changes that hopefully won't let that happen again. With any luck, though, she'll be eating her hat in under 48 hours, which is good. However, more broadly, they think of territory wars, territory battles, and grand arenas as the new core of the event experience in Galaxy of Heroes. She says that they will continue to make sure that there is at least an event in the event room every single day. But they also think of the day-to-day experience of events primarily being guided by Territory War, Territory Battle, and Grand Arena. Now, see, this is the thing, Paul. I'll just stop right there for a second. With the mythic events and ships and things like that tend to happen, some people do complain a bit and say, look, there's just too much happening in the game, and they pull their hair out when they've got so many of these sorts of mythic events, and then they've got to do a territory battle fight, and then they've got to go off and do their grand arena. There might even be a territory war, which is happening at the same time. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too, as far as I'm concerned. Paul?
Yeah, you can't please every single person in this game. And sadly, everybody that, they have a megaphone. they have access to the internet, so apparently they think everyone listens to them.
It comes down to the world of entitlement. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I have a microphone in front of me, and I have some people listening to me right now, and I'm grateful for them. But I don't expect you to wholeheartedly agree with me and take the torch and run with it and say Paul Anthony thinks that Rose Tico is the best character in the Sith raid. No, if I say something stupid, call me on it. Yeah, for the love of Pete.
Exactly, man. I don't want to see those pitchforks coming out. I mean, we don't live in Transylvania. I live in Australia. But look, one of the things that she did announce in this post, though, which was very interesting, Paul, is that she said that they are planning some more mythic events and some new ships things, which is cool, but they aren't ready to deploy them yet. She said somewhere else she'll also talk about how she's keenly interested in delivering more raids and more TBs more regularly. She says that this isn't something we intend to forget about. It's just making sure that we can deliver consistently and at pretty good quality. Now, they go on to say a little bit later on in the Q&A, actually, Paul, that she mentions a bit later on about how she had a 5 to 10 year plan, which she's been looking at, has CG Carry, which is absolutely brilliant that she's got a 10-year plan. Now, it made me think, because she did also confirm that something that she has wanted to do for quite some time is bring vehicles into the game, which would be unreal. How cool would that be, to be flying around on a scout trooper bike, or perhaps even sitting in a AAT, and blasting the hell out of the murder bears? That would be fantastic. I'd love to see that in the game.
You're in the wrong trilogy, buddy. You're in the wrong trilogy. Now this is pod racing.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We'll have some of that. We'll have some pod racing. I'll have some of that. They also mentioned as well that there was a big thing that came out as well about ships that could be coming, and where they're looking at not putting a certain character in with the ship. And that could be what a lot of people are speculating, that could be the Buzz Droids, man, finally getting their mark in the game. What do you think?
Not just Buzz Droids. Also, an item we've seen before and on the loading screen. We're talking Y-Wings. We're talking A-Wings.
Yes.
In the game, during the Millennium Falcon event, there's a B-Wing.
Yes.
I know Texas Sparty, one of our good friends in our guild, would love the B-Wing. He's always pulling those things out when we're playing the miniatures game. I'm running my twin IG 2000s. He's pulling out B-Wings. We're going at it. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see the B-Wing, man, in the game. I mean, I'd love to see pretty much, look, the thing I've always wanted to see, man, is two of my favorite games of all time for Star Wars, outside of this one. When I was growing up, a lot of people talk about KOTOR. Nah, you know what it was for me? And I even shared the link with you too, Paul, and I know you've been playing it on Steam. That is TIE Fighter and X-Wing, the original games that were released by LucasArts back in the 90s. Where Grand Admiral Thrawn first made his appearance in 1991 on TIE Fighter, the game. Now that, my friend, is somewhere where I'd love to see the ships go. I mean, even if it was like a little, a tag on the side that actually takes you to play TIE Fighter and X-Wing, oh man, that would be sweet.
They'd have to, I think they have the rights, but I don't think, we can play KOTOR on the phone. Why can't we play X-Wing?
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, TIE Fighter, man. TIE Fighter was a better game for me, but both are equally as good. So, I'd love to see that, which would be sensational. We also found out too in the Q&A too, Paul, that shirtless Kylo may not make it to the game. That's a bit disappointing.
Aww.
That's a bit disappointing.
Same with Darth Jar Jar. You know why? Because there is no Darth Jar Jar. He turned into a freaking clown. Yeah. Read your canon. On that note, Scotty, real quick, let's go ahead and go to a break. On the flip side of this break, we'll talk a little bit more of the Q&A. We'll give our impressions before Scotty gets to sit down with Zylo and give their impressions. But I'll give my impressions, and Scotty will bounce some off me of the Grand Arena Championships coming up right here on the Escape Pod cast.
Hi, this is Cypher Master SB Crumb, and you're listening to the Escape Pod Cast. This show was recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Hello, everyone. This is Paul Anthony, co-host of the Escape Pod Cast. I'm sure you've heard Scotty's plea for donations to help with my wife Kristen and I with the medical bills that we face after Kristen's late 2018 cancer diagnosis. Just last night, the night before our recording of this show, I had to rush Mrs. Anthony to the emergency room, and she was admitted once again into the hospital. So now is never a better time than ever that if you could spare anything to help us cover the deductibles we are facing in this fight, please head on over to GoFundMe.com/Mrs. Anthony and make a donation. Even if you don't have the monetary ability to help, spending a few moments of your time, which honestly is our most valuable resource, to share it with a friend who possibly can, means just as much. That's GoFundMe.com/Mrs. Anthony. Thank you, listeners, for everything that you do.
If you like what you hear on the Escape Podcast, sign up to become a Patreon today. Support Scotty and Paul for as low as $2 a month, and you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/the Escape Pod to sign up. Support us today.
Do you enjoy Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes so much that you want to help shape the rankings and advice given to the community from bots like Scorpio? Chaos Z-Man is looking for new and experienced players alike to participate in polls to help make our favorite game even easier to dominate. Contact Chaos Z-Man on Discord at KAOSZMAN #6288 or stop on by the Zeta Valuation Discord channel to sign up. If you aren't sure about the one I'm talking about, check our description on your podcast device below or in the YouTube info, on the Escape Podcast Show Links channel, and more. Come be a part of the community, one purple mat at a time.
You're listening to the Escape Podcast with Scotty McLaren and Paul Anthony. The Escape Podcast News.
Welcome back to the Escape Podcast pre-recorded edition. Now remember, if something goes live while we're playing this back, we will have an Escape Pod extra coming up after the show. We will announce it on our Discord server, and we'll even send it out to the podcast. So if you're missing this and you see an extra come up, that's what that was. Something new came out while we're pre-recording this. Yeah. With that being said, we're going to jump back into the Q&A. One thing I wanted to jump back on in Carrie's response is somebody asked, it was Varth Dater that asked, with the character release cadence going from a trickle to a near standstill, as we talked about, how are you planning to keep endgame players engaged and interested in the game? We're simply running out of factions to panic, gear /farm. She did talk about, she went through and said that this question is loaded. It's honestly true. And she expressed that she's heard both sides of the aisle. While people are catching up and working on Darth Revan and Darth Malak, they know that players that have them are still looking for something to do.
Yeah.
This is where, and this is, I'm going to quote this part. This is where we're hoping that Grand Arena Championship and more new challenging content. And in parentheses, are you ready for this, Scotty?
Come on, mate, bring it on.
The Dark Side Territory battle is going to be Bardzo Trundy. And it is going to keep them busy.
You know, that's
I'm going to now skip ahead.
That's
Bardzo Trundy is Polish.
Right, and it means very, very difficult, isn't it?
Yes, so apparently we've gone from difficult to very difficult to arduous to Bardzo Trundy. So if we, I think that Carrie has a thesaurus nearby in multiple things. So in this time, Carrie, may I also give you these: laborious, strenuous, demanding, exacting, stiff, heavy, painful, labored, trying, titanic, bothersome, troublesome, burdensome, backbreaking, not easy, wearisome, onerous, attended by obstacles, rigorous, Herculean, requiring much effort, gargantuan, uphill, challenging, and taxing. That was brought to you by Googling Thesaurus hard.
Oh, I love that, man. That is sensational. And yeah, look, you could do, Australian too, Carrie, and I'll be happy for you to have this one. Bloody difficult, mate. So you can have that one from us here in Australia. That's another one that you can throw in there. Hey, Paul, before we move on to the Grand Arena, I just also saw another great question, which is here, man. And I think it's one that we need a response from, especially you, man, because this is a big one. Why is CG Top Hat so sexy?
Nice try, CG Top Hat. Yeah, I loved that one. I absolutely loved that one. The other one that I loved was where everybody sounded like the Borg. I don't remember where that was, but I was laughing my butt off at it. We're all Kaylee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the real question is, no one is asking, how are you doing this Q&A when Kaylee is hugging the laptop? I am Kaylee. I am Kaylee. That was great. So I love, and that's what I love about CG when it comes to this.
Yeah.
And you and I, we've both been critical of CG.
Yeah, of course we have.
So, but at the same time, we have to give credit where credit's due on this.
Yeah.
When they can interject some great humor, and also, in some ways, some throwbacks to older movies. Yeah, it's great.
I love it, man. It is pretty cool, and I'm glad that they came out with this Q&A. I mean, like, it's interesting. I'll discuss this a little bit more with Zylo a bit later, but I got to say that this is the way that they've done this is brilliant, and the fact that we're actually seeing as content creators too, Paul. That people are the questions that are out there from the community are so different, the things, and it's a good little example, I guess you could say, of what's important to the average player. I think that's great.
And it's everything.
Absolutely.
It truly is everything. The listener, the individual listener, you are not the only person that plays this game. Everybody didn't start the same time as you. Everybody, isn't as small of a roster or as large of a roster as you.
That's right.
That's what's great about this game, and if I may be so forward myself, that is what's so great about this podcast. We get people asking similar questions of us about our thoughts on all of this.
Yeah.
We try to be the community's podcast.
Yep.
And I hope that we still live up.
That's exactly what we're trying to be, man, and I 100% agree with you. But, I also wanted to touch on something else, Paul. Now, let's move over from the Q&A to something else that we haven't touched on yet. And the June event calendar was released earlier this week. Some pretty cool things that are in there for those of you that are, you've just started playing this game. The Thrawn event is back, definitely a character you want to try and get. And Forest Moon's back, some great events. The Contract Protocol for who's that? That's C-3PO, isn't it? The legendary event for that. So, some really good events that are coming back just for you guys. So definitely work towards those. Something I'll have a look at. But the daily login character, I don't know if it's the daily login character. It's the daily login ship for June is the Umbarian Starfighter. Now, Paul, are we going...
Clone Wars.
Yes, it is. Now, that's obviously the clone's ship. I think it's it's Fives' ship, isn't it, in the game? And is that a hint towards something from the clones, perhaps, coming to the game? Like, because we don't know the answers to this, but is it a hint for something like that, man? Do you think?
Everything else has pointed to it. I've said it before. As soon as I saw Ewoks, I knew it was C-3PO because of the funny meme. Have you heard about our Lord Goldenrod? Look that up. Google that when you have a second. If you haven't seen it, Scotty, I mean, it's hilarious. It's missionary Ewoks. You can't go wrong there. But everything has a hint of what's coming, even if it's right at the end of the month. I do think that it's basically telling us to get our clones ready. Yeah. Flat out.
Or it could have something to do with a separatist ship, and that could be Newt Gunray, or maybe even General Grievous could finally get their ships coming to the game. Maybe we're going to be seeing the clones as a counter towards the ships that are coming to the game. Perhaps. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. But the good thing is that, hey, it's definitely alluding to, I think, that there's more ships coming to the game. And that's a good thing.
for us, some people hate ships.
I love ships. I really do. Ships are, look, I'm currently sitting at number 12 at the moment. I'm just going through my ships at the moment. I've got payout in 1 hour from now, actually, Paul. And I'm having a look at my ships. Yeah, I'm sitting at number 12 at the moment in my arena shard. And, that's great. I don't really need to hit. I don't feel like I need to hit. Maybe I might hit, but we'll see if I can get in the top 10. That's something that I'm going to try and do. In fact, I might even try and do it while I'm talking to you. That might be a good idea. But anyway, so having a look at that, I'm having some fun with that, and that's where it's at for me, man. Ships is good. Why do I love ships so much? It's not. It's because of the Zetas, man. I want Zetas, and Zetas are great, and that's where it's at.
It's absolutely the thing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely the Zetas. That's why I focused on ships, so I could get my main roster, which is ultra fluffy.
Yes.
Ready.
That's right, man. I mean, I don't care. Look, okay, free-to-play players, you'll definitely care about the crystals. You'll want that. So you'll want to go to the arena. It doesn't faze me too much. I actually want the Zeta mats, and so I go after them. That's in the ships. So that's where it's at for me. But moving right along from the ships and our character login for June, which is the Umberian Starfighter, we also got a big update, and that was the Grand Arena Championships. We've been given a trailer. Sadly, I'd love to play the trailer to you guys, but there's no talking in it, so I can't play it.
No.
There's just lots of swooshes and music and everything, so it's good, but I'd love to do the trailer for it.
Here you go. Whoosh.
It actually sounds a little bit like, well, Paul, if you must, man, I digress. There you go. That's all you're going to get.
Yeah, that's all we can play.
Yeah, that's all we can play. But so that's what it sounds like. But anyway, the good news is that the Grand Arena Championships is coming after. It was announced earlier in the week too, Paul, that the June calendar changes. People might have noticed from Crumb that he did come out and say that there will be no Grand Arena for the month of June because of the Grand Arena Championships, which is coming to the game. How good is this? The Grand Arena Champion. I'm excited, man. I'm really excited for this. I can't wait.
I am going to rule that Carbonite tier with an iron fist.
And I'm really looking forward to hopefully facing off against, some of my guild, from Yavin 4. I mean, Savage Pops, I'm looking at you.
Even going against other members of you all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'd be great too.
Helenix, man.
But at the same time,
it's game over for me with Helenix.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Helenix, come at me, bro. Match my GP.
Shameless self-promotion.
So with that being said, I'm looking forward to this too because it's going to be global leaderboards. It's going to be tiers of how you do overall. I lost my first one just yesterday. Not my first one ever. God, I lose a lot. But that's because of, once again, the fluffy roster. I lost the opening match. I faced off against somebody that had Darth Malik.
Yep.
And for some reason, the RNG was not with me when I took JTR in to go against the bounty hunters. So, womp womp to me.
Well, something happened to me, but I'll leave that for when we talk to Zylo Takedown very soon about this with our incoming transmission. But I'll save that for there. So you got to keep listening out for what happened to me in my Grand Arena just yesterday. And yeah,
but look at this. Look at this. Look at the. I know people can't look on this podcast exactly, but Scotty, look at it with me here. So with the. I forget the names of everything. With Carbonite, you get a small gray box.
Yep.
With Bronzium, you get a small bronze box.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes fun. I don't know what this is sitting there underneath the chromium, but it looks like a chromium box and a hamburger. I would love to have a hamburger. After that, you got the Iridium.
Yes.
I think I probably mispronounced that incorrectly, and that's okay. We're part of the CFH network. But you get the Iridium
the pie slicer, you get that.
With the first part of that is where I'm seeing crystals.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing what I'm thinking is going to be the currency for Grand Arena, and we'll get to that in a second. But when you get to the Kyber, I love the Kyber. You get the Kyber box, you get a lot of crystals, double it looks like, and then you get 2 stacks of this magical money.
Yes. Now, look, the only thing I've got to say though is, I'm an Australian. And I know that Kyber crystals and that it's actually part of the law. But do you know what Kyber means in Australian, Paul? Do you know?
Oh, dear. What does it mean in Australian?
It means your ass. So
I would love some ass crystals.
Yeah, that's it. So you've got ass crystals, which are coming your way.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. I bet when you were watching Rogue One for the first time. Excuse me, what?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought when I was watching that. I was talking about Kyber crystals. I'm like, what? Are you talking about my ass crystals? What are you doing? Because there's a great line from one of our prime ministers, Bob Hawke. May he rest in peace. He actually said, and long may you stick it up your Kyber.
Nice.
Anyway, I just thought I'd touch on that for all you people. Yes, our mind did go to that way. We're sorry about that. We'll go back to PG rating. Anyway.
Scotty wanted to touch on ass.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, touch the ass. Anyway, so moving on. And man, look, this does look pretty cool. The Grand Arena Championships. I cannot wait. The best thing I love about this is that you cannot create a shard chat, and it's going to be fun. Bring it on. That's all I have to say. I'm stoked, man. This is more fun for me than the arena.
It's another opportunity for Hellenics to create another Discord server.
Oh, yes. And it's another.
He does so great with the other ones. Why not? Hellenics, make this happen. Sig, make this happen. Collaboration.
Yes,
you got it.
Absolutely. And you know what? It also gives us another reason for SWGOH.gg to actually tell you about the teams that work in Grand Arena. So have you got this team farmed? And look, one of the things they said in the Q&A too, Paul, was that there might be Porgs coming to the game. I would love to see, and I'm going to throw the challenge out there to SWGOH.gg, man. I said this in our chat earlier in the week. Change the BB-8s, man. It's time for the Porgs. It's the revenge of the Porg.
All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and throw this into the Holo Roundtable. We've got lots more coming up with RSG, Reality Skewed Gamers, and also your sit down with Takedown coming up right here on the Escape Podcast.
Hey everyone, it is the heartthrob of the Outer Rim, your boy Urs, and you are listening to the Escape Podcast with Paul Anthony and Scotty McLaren. Boys, I think I speak for all of us when I say you are hot, you are red hot.
Nikias Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Macias will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Macias has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Macias today on Discord at all lowercase Macias number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at maciasmods@gmail.com. Macias Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Pod cast.
Like what you hear on the Escape Pod cast? Want to support Scotty and Paul? Then sign up to be a Patreon. For as low as $2 a month, you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/theescapepod to sign up. Support us today.
Hey there, it's Zylo Takedown from Takedown Games, and you're listening to the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Pod cast, the Round Holotable.
Well, welcome back to the Escape Pod Cast, and for this edition of the Holo Roundtable, we have two of the very, very most generous, most charitable content creators that I personally know. Reality Skewed Gamers, Finn and Ranger. Welcome to the show, guys.
Glad to be here.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello, guys. It's great to have you guys with us today in the Round Holotable. And today we're going to be discussing raids. And there's currently 3 of them in the game. We've got the Rancor, we've also got the Heroic HAAT raid, and we've also got the Sith raid, which is one of those raids that's responsible for breaking a few guilds. But guys, look, we thought we'd just jump straight into it. What's your favorite raid memory?
You want to go first, Finn? You want me to go first?
Sure, I can go. Mine isn't a single one necessarily. So, but for me, my favorite part of this game is always the team aspects of it and working with my guild, because I've been in the same guild since guilds opened in this game. And so my favorite memories are always the first time we beaten any raid on the maximum level. So tier 7 of Rancor, Heroic AAT, and then tier 7 of the Sith raid. The first time that you actually beat it, the thrill that you get as a guild, knowing that you finally have the end game content completed, is definitely the thing I remember the most of all the raids so far.
How about you, Rancor?
Me, it was when I one-shotted Heroic Rancor with CLS and CLS only. I was like, that's right, Rancor. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name's Ranger, through CLS, but I still pwned you.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite parts of the raid too, to be honest, is like, when the Rancor first came out, man, like I really enjoyed that Rancor raid, and, when CLS came along, it was a game changer. But who remembers using Jawas with the Rancor? Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. We've all used teams where we were like, all right, so for this one, I'm going to use Rex and Aurora because he reduces turn meter, and then I'm going to use this character. It's like, oh my lord, the teams we used to put together to beat some of these raids.
It's not Aurora, it was Tusken Raider, and he's still one of my favorite characters, so hush you.
They're all Aurora to me.
In the game, man, he's called Finity.
No, that Aurora is a character, but the one that you used in Rancor was Tusken Raider because he removed.
I was just being ridiculous by just naming a character randomly, Finn. It doesn't have to be precise.
But there's actually a Tusken that I used to solo the Rancor the first time. Don't make it Aurora. It's Tusken Raider.
Okay, calm down, Finn. I don't want to have to hurt you right when we started this. You've been watching too much Bob Ross, and I'm sick of it, man. It's changed you. It's changed you a lot.
I need a happy little tree and a happy little Tusken.
You need a punch in the head is what you need. I'm sorry, we digress. Continue, please.
Oh, that's hilarious. I think you guys have been hanging out with Urzatron too much. You need a bit of Tusken lore on your channel. What's going on?
Well, I remember Urz when he first started. We've been around for so long that a lot of the... we've seen everybody come up. I remember when Team Money first started. I think the first stream she ever did was with me for one of the Angel streams. So it's really cool to see how a lot of these YouTubers that are popular like Urz and Team Money and all them that we knew that when they first started, they weren't even thinking about streaming and stuff like that. So it's always a hoot and stuff to see that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. But look, guys, the Sith raid, it's one of those sorts of raids, isn't it, that it decimated guilds when it first came out. Everyone wanted that end game content. Did you guys come across this as well in your own guilds? Finity, I'll start with you.
A little bit. Eventually everything gets kind of boring. Oh. when you have nothing new to go on for a little while, you do get that mindset kind of creeping into it and getting more and more prevalent.
It certainly did affect Yavin when it first came around. I mean, we were battling 5 and 6 for a while. We didn't even want to touch 7. We didn't even want to go heroic. There was a lot of back and forth, and finally we called in one merc to just basically talk us through it and made sure we had everybody ready. And we've gotten some of those people back that have become ready that we had to shuffle out, and now I think, didn't you, was it you or was it Muljawa that just unlocked the 7-star tray there, Scotty?
Wasn't me, man. I'm way off. I'm 1 point off of getting over to 7 stars. We did the Sith raid at something like 2:30 in the morning my time, so didn't quite get the hits in. So I needed 6 to get her up, and I only got 5. But anyway, it's another story. That's another story for another day. But guys, I got to ask you about the raids. I mean, Finity, you did mention that some things do get a little bit stale, and the Sith raid has been around now for well over 12 months. What would you like to see come to the game as a raid, man? Like, what, Affinity and Ranger, what would you like to see come to the game?
As a raid specifically, or just in general?
As a raid, man.
As a raid, honestly, nothing. And here's why. Because of the way that the ticket system is set up. We have to get 30,000 tickets a day, and currently Sith Raid requires 110,000 tickets. They cannot create a raid that has more than 120,000 tickets, because then you will have overflow, because if you had like 125,000 and you needed 130, you gain 30,000 tickets for your 600s and you'll lose 5,000 tickets. Mm-hmm. So they're in a position where they really can't do anything except for redoing all of the raid counters, making Rancor cheaper, AAT cheaper, Heroic Sith cheaper, and that throws off the entire way that they're building raids. So I worry about any new raids and what it'll do to guilds if they change the way the 600s worked. So I like the way that they're currently seem like they're moving, which is reskinning TB and creating new things in territory battles as a new version of raids. But in terms of raids themselves, I worry about anything new coming into the game.
And for me, I mean, they can always readjust the numbers and things of that nature. That part doesn't bother me, but it's got to be something different. Heroic Sith, Heroic AAT, Sith, the Sith raid, it doesn't matter. It's you go kill a boss, we go to the next level. Go kill a boss, go to the next phase. Kill a boss, get to the last phase, right? I mean, they've mixed it up a little bit, like, with the Heroic Sith raid, different things here and there, but be creative with, if you're going to put a raid in the game, do something entirely different, right? Do something unique. Maybe something I don't know what it could be, but just do something outside the box. Think original stuff. If you're just going to put, hey, the new Endor raid, kill phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you get lots of loot and a character you've never seen before, then I'm going to be like, okay, great. Another character to work on.
They originally talked, there was original speculation back in the day of mythic tiers to the existing raids. So I think that might be more of an answer to the ticket issue. If the Rancor had a mythic where you had to get 120,000, maybe all of them, all the mythic versions for Rancor and Tank would be 120,000 tickets. And maybe that is where the speculated new Kenobi comes in, is where you go for a mythic tank.
Look, for me, every time I hear the word mythic, I just think of the Dark Crystal. I don't know why. No, they're mystics, aren't they?
Oh my god!
but you know, you know, it just made me think about that. You know, like, and I don't think that we're going to be seeing the mystic side of things, the mythic side of things, come into the game. You know, for the simple fact that we've now got the ability now to sim the Rancor raid, guys. What do you think?
I think Mythic would be the perfect solution, actually, to the tickets and for everything regarding the game. Because if, let's say, they kept the Rancor the exact same cost, 60,000, now made 60,000 a Mythic and added a new reward at the end of it, they could make the tier 7 cheaper. Let's say they even make it half of what it is, and that's probably exaggerating a little bit, but let's say they make it 30,000. Can you imagine how awesome that would be for the newer players in the game coming in and being able to get Han Solo that much quicker? And same thing with all the other ones. If they start introducing mythic levels of the existing raids, I think that would actually be really awesome for the game as a whole.
Yeah. What about you, Ranger?
I agree. I mean, it would be something for the veteran side to work toward, right? Make something really hard, challenging. I mean, raids for, you know, I'm in MC, MW, and the raids, it's more like, do I feel like soloing the raid today or not? I don't know. I guess I'll go there, you know. It's just about, you're just trying to get placement for loot, especially in the Heroic Sith raid. So there's no challenge there. That's the thing with raids, that they've always got a shelf life. There's only so long until someone beats it and then they put it on farm, right? So not only do they have to be creative, but they have to create something that's long-term worth it, right? I mean, we blew past all 3 raids eventually for a lot of the veteran players. Now, for new players, mid-tier players are still working on it, so it's a different experience. So, and I worry if we put a raid in right now, you've got a lot of newer players coming into the game and mid-tier players. It's overwhelming for them right now. A lot of the stuff that's in the game and all the characters that they have to get. If anything, I think they need to slow down like they've been. People are like, where are all the events? What's going on? Like, no, guys, this is a good thing. We need a break. After these last 3 legendaries, we are fried.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Trying to work on our characters and get a little bit of breathing space. So if they do a raid, I don't think it's going to be this year. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but I don't see anything coming past after GMOs, just like a raid or anything like that until next year.
Well, I think that we might see a raid towards the end of the year, and I got a funny feeling it could be the Death Star raid. I mean, we might finally see these ship raids finally come into the game. I mean, you know, ships need to be viable somehow, and you know, I feel as if that could be the way that we look forward. Ranger, what do you think?
Well, do you think we have enough ships in the game to actually justify having a raid of any sort right now?
Not quite yet, but, you know, towards the end of the year, maybe.
We need a lot more ships. That's the problem. We haven't been getting as many ships, and it's ships. You know,
just
so
2 more capital ships.
Yeah, two more capital ships, a couple more fleets. I'll have one of those, and then I'll have let me give a couple Carillion Corvettes, and then I mean, we need a lot. I think that's a great idea. If they eventually did that, that'd be something different, but not enough, you know, ships to do a raid. I mean, especially if you were going to do like, you know, 4 stages, 4 fleets to go in there. That would be crazy.
Yeah. It would be, but still, it'd be fun to do. I mean, like, I guess that's something that
I have no doubt. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think it'd be something that would be really fun. I mean, especially when we've got this whole thing of, you know, the ships need some help right now, and they need to be viable in some way or capacity. And, you know, that's the only way I can see ships becoming viable in this particular game is with a ship's Death Star raid where you might even get Luke's X-Wing finally as a reward. I think that might even be the way that we might even see this going into the future. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. But look, what about the status of the game right now, guys? I mean, like, how are you guys feeling about the game as we move into the Geonosis territory battles and we move into the whole thing of what's going on in this game as well? How are you guys feeling about it?
I'll let Finn go first. I'm a gentleman.
I am actually torn about the status of the game. So I do like the fact that they're working towards a lot of different new things. I'm happy most recently with the way that they've come out and basically acknowledged a lot of the flaws that we've seen in this game now for basically 3 years with regards to testing and some of their releases and all those kind of things. Those are all kind of on the good things. The problem is these things have been going on for 3 years and they're still happening. Yeah. And so in terms of the state of the game, I think we're moving in the right direction. We have to continue the momentum. I think we're seeing some other trends with regards to players now putting more and more crystals because of the way that they've been releasing some of the characters, especially Malik. In particular, being the way that he was released has really caused a lot of players to, in effect, stop playing. They're not gearing up as many characters because of fear of fluffing. They're not spending their crystals because they're worried about what's the next thing to come. So I think a lot of players are either playing in like a hoarding mentality or a fear mentality. And at some point that does start to weigh on players. So it's a matter of time before they start releasing a lot of new content and allow players to start spending that and actually enjoying it. Now, hopefully they do that sooner than later. Because until that time, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are just getting frustrated because they're not really playing the game as much and it feels more like a chore. So once they break that kind of mentality out of players, which will hopefully happen with the TB, the new TB that they're going to release with Geonosis, I think the game will be in a much better state than where it is. But right now, I think it's moving in a positive direction compared to where it was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta echo some points. We saw it. A lot of people quit that we've known for a long time after Padme, especially after Malik and then Padme. It was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. They were just tired and we're tired of the legendary drops and chasing, and they were just worn out. And I started thinking that, well, maybe there's some issues, and there was a lot of issues with the game. A lot of stuff came out, but Finn hit some great points. They've been more transparent. They're talking about things. They're trying to fix things. They recognize listening more to the community with the recent changes with TW that we wanted to be vanilla. I think territory battles coming up for Geonosis better be spectacular, and I think they're taking the time to do that to make sure that event is really good. So I think the game's going to have a longevity because, we do roster reviews all the time, and I'm seeing so many new players that are coming to this game. It's incredible how many new players there are. So as much as it breaks my heart. Go ahead.
Speaking of the roster reviews, you'll be happy to know that for the first time, we're recording this on Tuesday. Yesterday, you guys went through my roster. For the first time, I finished sub 100.
What? See?
Congrats.
Nice.
So thank you to both of you for that one.
Yes, when I first saw Paul's account, I thought I was being punked. I was like, this isn't Paul's account. Yeah, very funny. I'm like, wait, it is his account. Wait, no, what's happening? No. I had to stop.
Dear. Hey, one of the things I love what you guys do, and you guys, deserve to be applauded. I mean, you're just doing so much out there, especially with charity work. Guys, I commend you on what you guys do with your charity work. I think it's sensational.
Yeah, we've done 2 charities. We first did the American Suicide...
American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
Suicide Prevention. I always forget the foundation. That was the first one. We raised over $10,000 for that one. And then this year, from last year, we did also for the American Cancer Society, we raised over $16,000, I believe. I don't know what the final tally was. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I think Finn will agree is me and Finn have always thought, help the community do stuff like, have fun, right? But what else can we do to make a bigger difference? And, those are 2 big things that, in the U.S. that is a big deal. Suicide was a big deal. I'm a veteran. I've known a lot of friends that have committed suicide, as veterans, the highest population for suicide. So we felt we had to do something there. And then cancer has hit everybody. impact. And, if I could run around with a shirt that said F cancer on it all the time, I would. Because it's taken a lot of my family. It's affected a lot of my family. And so, we did our part to make a difference. And I let Finn speak on it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's for us anyways, while it's part of making a gaming community, it's part of making a community that's making a difference outside of just the gaming platform. And so we love the fact that the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes community is actually really involved in these community type activities. And I think, Paul, you were very... I know it's not always the easiest thing to start a GoFundMe and ask people, but as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, the Galaxy of Heroes community will come out to support you.
And they did.
And that's the great part about this is that it's not just a community of gamers that are just waiting for games and playing games and watching videos. They do really think about thoughtful things, and we're just glad that we have the opportunity to try and bring people together and make those pushes whenever there's something worthwhile to do.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I mean I absolutely can't agree more. And it's kind of funny. Everybody wailed out to get my wife some chemo gear. that's kind of the joke that I've always said is you guys helped her achieve the chemo gear level 12.
Well, it put her over 50,000 health, so that's good,
Has she been modded for health, has she, Paul, or what?
They helped me remod her for health. So.
Because she was not remod.
Tenacity on her.
Tenacity, health.
She's potent enough, so that's fine.
Yeah. What else we had? I think those are too good. She's a tank.
Well, with that being said, guys, we do have to wrap it up, or we got to get to the next segment here. But the main thing remains that if you guys are going to check in every lunch hour with any content creator, it's got to be Reality Skewed Gamers. They do stuff on weekends, both hilarious and entertaining. They branch out, and you owe it to yourself to go check them out. Check our description for more links on how to get in touch with Ranger and Finn and the entire Reality Skewed Gaming crew. Guys, it's a pleasure. We'll talk to you guys again soon, and there's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon, I can easily tell.
Absolutely. We're always down to do stuff, and we're idiots, and we just want to spread our idiotism to the entire population. So we are succeeding one convert at a time.
Love He's a fantastic. Check out the link in the description below. This is the Escape Podcast.
Hello, friends. This is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and you are listening to the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Pod, cast for kids. It's really cool.
Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to the Escape Podcast for kids with me, the Nev. Today we're going to talk about raids. Raids are a guild event that run as often as your guild leaders and officers can run them. The more people that are in your guild collecting tickets from daily quests, the more often you will get to do a raid. So be a good guildie, and be sure to contribute your 600 daily tickets so everyone gets to enjoy raids as much as possible. The raid system is a fun and competitive system and allows you to progress through the game by awarding you credits, currency, and gear. The more raids you do, the more rewards you get. The more points you score in a raid, the more valuable the rewards you get. Let's start with a few basics. There are 3 types of raid. The pit raid, where you will face Gamorrean guards and a mighty fierce rancor. The tank raid, where you will face off against multiple bad guys from the Clone Wars era, such as General Grievous and Separatist army droids. The Sith raid, where you will face off against one of the most evil Sith triumvirate factions to rule over the Sith Empire. The format for each raid is the same. You face 4 phases in each raid, with each phase requiring different tactics in order to defeat your foe. Each raid has 7 tiers. The tiers are there to match the star levels of your characters. So if you only have 4-star characters, then you can only compete in tier 4 raids. Once you have 7-star characters, characters, you can compete in Tier 7 raids. If you're in a beginner guild or an intermediate guild, then don't worry, as the difficulty will be low as you have to start on the low tier raid. Most people end up starting around Tier 3 due to the fact that most people have 3-star characters by the time they reach a guild and can participate in raids. If you think back to my story time about guilds, you'll remember that different guilds will do different raids, but all guilds are trying to get strong enough to compete in Tier 7 so they can all get character shards. Raids that run in Tier 7 are called heroic raids and require the strongest of your characters. So let's briefly discuss the raids and look at the characters you'll attempt to collect in order to be competitive. The Pit Raid. This raid is not as hard as it used to be. As the game has progressed, stronger and better characters have joined the game, making it an easier raid. Your best chance for completing the Pit Raid with a high score is characters that remove turn meter. So you should look to getting characters like Darth Vader, Wedge, Biggs, CLS, Tebow, Ewok Elder, and TIE Fighter Pilot. Of course, there are more powerful characters out there, but these are the basic recommendations. And don't forget, there are lots of YouTube guides out there to help you. The Tank Raid. This raid is a bit harder than the Pit Raid and requires more characters to complete all 4 phases. Even though you will start on a low tier, it's good practice to use a team that will eventually compete in the raid at Tier 7. Remember, you're not trying to complete the raid by yourself, as your guildmates will also be fighting the raid too. You're just looking to get a good score. A good Jedi team will get you a good score in Phase 1. A good Resistance team will get you a good score in Phase 2 and 4. And a good Empire team will get you a good score in Phase 3. There are many different teams that will get you high scores in the Tank Raid, so I would suggest having a look at some YouTube content so you can find the perfect team that fits with the characters you have. Last but not least, the Sith Raid. This is the hardest of all raids and requires very specific teams in order to do well. Phase 1 will need a Jedi Training Ray-led team, or even a Jedi Knight Revan team to score high. Jedi Knight Revan teams can also do well in Phase 2. Actually, a team you might already have in your roster. Phoenix is also good for a few points in Phase 2. Phase 3 and 4 will need a Night Sister team to score high, but there are other team options for Phase 3 that are available on YouTube. If you don't have any of the teams above for any of the raids, just go in there and blast away however you like. It's all about having fun and contributing to your guild. Remember that if you have a full guild, 49 other people will all be doing their best to score points in each of the raids, so it's not up to you to kill the Rancor or defeat General Grievous. It's all about a good team effort. That's all for me this week. Thanks for joining me for Story Time with the Nev on the Escape Pod, cast for kids.
The Escape Pod cast with Scotty, McLaren and Paul Anthony.
G'day, this is Scotty McLaren, and I'm here to tell you about one of our very cool Patreons who also happens to be one of the many game changers which is out there. I'm talking about the one, the only, Urzatron.
Here we go, everybody. Who's ready for some Tuskens?
He's the man that brings the gaffy sticks. He's also the man that brings together Lobot versus the meta. He's the man that is the king of the Beauty and the Beast.
But you know what, mommy? We ride single file, baby girl. And there you go.
If you haven't been to check out Urzatron's live streams before for Grand Arena, make sure you do it, because he is one of the coolest dudes which is out there, and he is the heartthrob of the Outer Rim after all.
You gotta get the 6, baby.
So, if you're looking for something to do today, especially with Grand Arena being more constant, make sure you go visit Urzatron. I fully endorse the man, and so does Cora.
Don't leave us waiting. We can make all your fantasies a reality. If you like what you hear on the Escape Podcast, sign up to become become a Patreon today. Support Scotty and Paul for as low as $2 a month and you can help them launch escape pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/theescapepod to sign up. Support us today.
Hey guys, it's the Nev here. If you want to hear more content from me, please come over to my channel. It's Nev, simple as that. But if you're looking for me and you need to type something in the search, best put in my full name. It's Neil Andrew Eyre. You can also follow me on Twitter at PomPomtastic1, and you can find me on Discord, Nev, #9515. Hope to hear from you soon. Come on over and give me a like and a subscribe.
Hi guys, this is Scotty McLaren here, and I've got to tell you guys about a big plea that we are, of course, doing to try and help out our good friend Paul Anthony and his wife Christy. Now, you may have seen in our listener comments just recently that I posted a GoFundMe link, and it's to help out Paul and the medical bills for his beautiful wife Kristen, who began to rapidly feel weaker and weaker in September of 2018. Turns out that Kristen has been, of course, diagnosed with lymphoma, and she's going through a really rough time. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, medical bills are not cheap. So we've put together a GoFundMe to try and help out Paul and help out Kristen. Now, as you guys know, I don't do this show for any cash. I do it as a love affair to help Paul out and also to provide an escape for Paul for what he goes through on a day-to-day basis when he sees reality. The reality is that Kristen's lost her hair, and that's devastated Paul, as I'm sure you can imagine. She's been going through quite a bit of chemotherapy of late. Now, we have a goal in mind of $10,500. It does sound like a lot of money, but realistically, when someone you love is suffering from cancer, it ain't cheap. So guys, please, if you can, dig deep. Everything helps. So on behalf of Paul and his wife Christy, I ask you, I beg of you, to please dig deep and donate to the GoFundMe. So please, $1 is all it takes. Give us a hand and help out with the GoFundMe. And help us out with reaching this goal that we've got in mind to try and help them get through these medical bills. For more details, see the description below or head to the listener lounge where you'll also find the link.
You're listening to the Escape Podcast.
Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission. Receiving incoming transmission.
And welcome back to the Escape Podcast. And we are, of course, recording this on a Friday, or in my time, but in Thursday, in Zylo and Paul's time. Unfortunately, Paul can't be with us at the moment. Something's just come up for him. But we will continue the show. And joining us right now on the Escape Podcast is possibly, I reckon, just behind Urzatron, I reckon, only just, is a guy that is absolute genius when it comes to all things Grand Arena and all things Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm talking about Zylo from Zylo Takedown Games. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Escape Podcast.
Hey, what's up, Scotty? It's so glad to be back, man. I love the show and can't thank you guys enough for all your support. You guys, I love the Escape Podcast.
Man, we love you too, brother, and love everything that you are doing on your channel. But man, the reason why we've got you today is because I wanted to talk to you about one of the things that the devs posted through the week, and they actually said that there will be no Grand Arena throughout the month of June. How did you take that news, man? Because Grand Arena is something big that you like to do.
Man, it's a game mode that everyone's grown so fond of. I mean, it's taken over the game, if you ask me, and the player base. It's, brought more people up to the content creator, influence and, recording their Grand Arenas and, trying to give as much information throughout the community at all throughout the player levels too, from top to bottom. I think it's also brought a great social environment to the game too. It's one of my favorite aspects to it. Getting to meet new players and, get to go back and forth and experience what they're going through and, talk a little strategy even on some occasions. And, I was a little bummed at first when, they made the announcement. But then as of today, a couple hours ago when we're doing this, Macias had put the post up for the commercial that EA launched for the tiers of Grand Arena and the new championship level and the ranking system and what they teased a little bit, it's got me really excited. I'm sure you're just there with me too, right?
Oh man, absolutely, yes. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because the Grand Arena Championships, they're going to run for about 5 weeks, and there's going to be 4 Grand Arena matches and then a week-long review period. And at the end, there's going to be some amount of cooldown before the next championship begins. And then as players win GA matches, they earn GA banners in the championship. They complete the feats, and then they'll earn a championship score. And from that, the rewards are just absolutely awesome. You'll get bragging rights, you'll get new Grand Arena currency, GP divisions, leaderboards and rewards, exhibition championship schedule and format, and competitive integrity and anti-cheating I love, because, you know, something that I saw that happened to me just in my Grand Arena just yesterday, Zylo, is that, you know, the guy that I was up against, man, he decided not to put anything on defense. You know, he just let the thing auto schedule, but he still beat me. I reckon that there should be a thing there, man. If you don't deploy on D, you lose.
Yeah, or at least some feature to create a stable environment, right? Like setting, you know, auto defenses with synergy. Like it's nothing that we haven't seen before with, you know, them putting teams up with synergy. Like, for example, like the mythic tier for the Thrawn event with all 6 of the Phoenix members, right? Like, so they know what it's like to put teams with synergy together. So maybe, you know, tiering through your roster and, you know, like putting a group of bounty hunters down, putting, you know, a Jedi team down, a Sith team, whatever, you know, it would be more helpful and insightful to, you know, use more counters and, you know, use your roster to an extent like you want to. You're going into the match expecting, you know, to participate, right? But when you see these, you know, these auto defenses, and I'm just happy to say that I haven't seen one personally.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm in a very higher tier. I'm just over the 4.7 million threshold, so I'm always facing a different type of opponent. All through the player base, even at that higher tier level. But besides that, I mean, it would be so easy for them to correct that auto deploy and, you know, make it a more competitive matchup. And, you know, even still, if the opponent, say, for example, forgot to, it still gives them a competitive player base as well. It's just they're going to be playing with more of the bottom tier of their roster, if anything, right?
Well, man, I don't know how this happens, but, you know, like the guy that I was up against actually still had, for some, I don't know how, for ungodly reason, he managed to do it, where he didn't deploy defense, but somehow he still had Darth Revan, Bastilla, and Malik all on the same team still. And then there was just, you know, like there was who were the other ones? There was like a couple of Imperial troopers in there on the same team as well. And man, it was just like the stupidest team. And then, like, you know, then you've got like Padme with Chewbacca and CLS and all these characters, you know, like it was just like, man, you did not set D. And then suddenly he comes along and wipes me out. Like, you know, I was just like, what the hell? That should not happen.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and even, you know, when a player goes in with the, you know, lower tiered roster, I mean, like, that just sounds so strange. I mean, like, there's some situations where the Grand Arena just feels off, right? But you just have to assume that, you know, you got the best of it. But it's hard to say that, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard of some instances where, you know, players have gone in and faced an auto deployed and either couldn't clear it or, you know, had some bad experiences with it in general, and the opponent, you know, still tries to make some moves, but I've never heard of somebody coming back and winning from an auto deploy, honestly.
Yeah, man, like he did it, and I was very, very upset. I was like, damn it. So, yeah, but anyway, hey, it is what it is. I mean, mind you, it's on me too, because I only took out his ships and 2 teams and thought, yeah, well, he only auto deployed, so I should get this. And he still cleared me, the mongrel. But anyway, that's on me.
Yeah, that's a salty situation, brother. Honestly, I would feel the same way, my man. I couldn't put it in another word myself, you know? I mean, what do you expect from an auto-deployed defense or on an offensive end, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. I just thought,
that's awful. Oh, man.
But it is what it is, man.
Oh, we live and we learn, right? Yeah, we'll go forward from there, and that's the best thing about Grand Arena is it's just an evolving game mode, and it's a new situation every match, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Now, look, you know, I wanted to share something with you too, Zylo, because, you know, look, there's been a lot of people that have been talking about I guess you could say the status of the game, and they're saying that the game itself, is failing. There's things that are, people are dropping off left, right, and center. But I've done some research here, Zylo, and I want, if you will indulge me for a second, on the iTunes charts. Now, this is on the Apple I'm speaking of here. On the iTunes charts, in the chart for the top grossing apps, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes still comes in to this day at number 51, and that's in amongst all the likes of Spotify, YouTube, all the rest of it, man. So it's still going well. But overall, in terms of games that are downloaded, and still to this day, it still ranks at 132. So the game ain't dying.
Yeah,
yeah, the game ain't dying, man. What do you think?
No, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, all the negative hype from the top end, tier content creators, I'm not going to name drop, of course, but the whole game is in a great spot right now. I mean, it's evolving even still today. I mean, and not just from the Grand Arena aspect. Like, we're about to get this new TB. We're about to have, even more counters for Darth Revan popping up. Like, Jedi Knight Revan counters started popping up through the months, and yeah, mirror matches were the most effective, and yeah, mods are the main aspect of it, but at the end of the day, there's 3 Darth Revan counters now. The game's still pressing forward, and we don't know what kind of content we're going to be getting in the next few months that's going to add more layers to the game, and I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like, the game's in one of the better situations that I've experienced in the 4 years that I've been playing almost, and at the end of the day, I think the game's just growing more and more, and it's adding more layers to it, and I just wish that ships were a little more impactful through the community, and that the game mode was a little more appreciated, of course. And I think long term it will be, but right now it doesn't seem like their main focus. But hopefully, maybe with the new TB, that could change that. And that's a new game mode for the roster depth, and reaching that top tier rewards and what characters we're going to be getting out of that alone. I'm excited. I'm very excited for the next couple months, the rest of the year even. We got the new movie at the end of the year. We've got all these new shows coming out in November with the Disney app. I can't see the game dying anytime soon. And I even think it's even funnier from the developer Q&A that the 5-year plan was brought up, and Carrie was even so bold to add another layer to it and say, I'm now thinking of a 10-year plan. A long-term 10-year plan, like, even if you cut that into a quarter, it's still a good 2-3 years. I mean, like, I think this game is still going forward, and it's going to keep progressing more and more. And the best thing is that we have a new generation of players joining the game too as well, that are effectively spending because they want to be a part of the top tier, and they want to have an in-depth roster right away getting into this game because it's so exciting, it's so fun, and I couldn't be happier with where the game is right now.
I'm in the same boat as you, man. And, you touched on ships, but, who knows? Maybe there is a ships 3.0 around the corner, especially with the Umberian Starfighter as the login reward for June. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just seeing that alone, I was so excited for either reason, because it either means a clone rework or more ships content, and I'm excited for both of those.
Absolutely, man. And what did you think about the announcement about Gear 13 when they announced that in the developer Q&A? I mean, obviously a lot of people are highlighting that particular bit that CG Carey actually said that it was coming with the brand new territory battle.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was a little skeptical, but I'm kind of growing into the idea of it now, because it's going to create another layer again into the game, and a place where these stats that we're already seeing progress so high into even another bracket. And I mean, like, that comes down to, like, say, like Grandmaster Yoda's damage output, or power level going from like a 7,000 to an 8,000, or a higher health and protection pool base throughout the game. They're trying to focus more on health and protection statistics and mods in general. Just looking at the Grievous team and the Padme team alone, those teams thrive on health and protection. And I think that it's going to add another layer that we already started to see with Gear 12, and Gear 12 Plus was kind of pushing us towards this. And regardless whether we get anything past Gear 13, I never expected them to push past Gear 12 or maybe even max Gear 12, but it gives more life and more depth to players' rosters, and hopefully it's a little more accessible, or at least the Gear 12 Plus pieces can become a little more accessible other than the Sith Raid. I mean, like, I'm always playing the Sith Raid for my guild. Even if I'm at work, I try and throw a couple teams in and push auto, and just to get a couple million points up. At the end of the day, you want to be as competitive as you can in all these game modes, and pushing forward, it's gonna add another layer to the focused players, and the players that spend a little extra on, of course it's going to cater to the top tier players, which is what they're looking for right now, and it'll complement players right now who are trying to not fluff their GP and work on the right teams that they want to round up even more, like your Darth Revens, your Jedi Knight Revens, your CLS, your Padmes, everything at the top tier, your Night Sisters if you're a big Night Sister fan, right? Like, maybe this next gear level can make some of these A-, B+ teams even more relevant today, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I couldn't agree with you more. And look, I'm excited about Gear 13. I mean, like, a lot of endgame players are saying, oh well, look, I've got nothing else to do, blah blah blah, and then they come out with Gear 13, and all over Reddit, man, they're just like, no, this can't happen, blah blah blah. It's like, well, what do you want, guys? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Well, we need a long-term goal too as well, and I mean, even someone who casually is, a light dolphin, like, I haven't spent but $60 this year as opposed to last year, probably, double, triple. But, at the time it was more accessible, and now where we're at in the game, it's just like, I want to do anything possible to not spend, and that's going to give me a disadvantage to the whales and, the higher tier players in my bracket even too. So it's just going to make me focus my roster a little bit more, and maybe even we're talking, getting into the 6 million GP bracket, and, adding more layers to Grand Arena, and, it's going to be exciting.
Man, one of the questions that, was posed in the Q&A, and a lot of people have actually skipped over it, which I'm really, really surprised about. And I'm not sure who the person was that asked it. They said, when will another ship raid be developed, and will there ever be a ship raid? The answer to this question was, we're already discussing what the next raid will be. It'll come after the Geonosis territory battle and a while after that, so no 2 months fast follow. They say, will there be a ship raid? Hopefully. It's something that they definitely want to tackle. The next raid may not be a full ship raid, but it may have elements of ships in it. No promises, but we're working towards it. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, if you look at the raids right now that we have, they kind of tiered them in through different eras, right? So Rancor from the original trilogy, we have the tank raid from the prequels, when we have the Sith raid from KOTOR. So we have 3 different types of eras with the raids, and looking at episode 9 coming at the end of the year, potentially maybe an episode 9 type raid, like some of the themes from episode 9, and you could definitely incorporate ships in there somehow, and I see why that they would want to only add a fraction of ships as a raid, because there's so much content that's not there for a full raid, right? Like, or the perfect ships raid team, even though it would take a while for people to start finding a good raid type team. So I think making it a fraction as opposed to a full ships raid, maybe a full ships raid long term, maybe down the road. But it would definitely be interesting to see like a new era of raid with the new trilogy, and some more First Order faction and some more Resistance faction added to that in between, and potentially give them bonuses through the raids, and it would incite people to work on more of those characters, and adding to their roster too as well, like raids do. You want to have as many raid teams as you can to post your high scores, and I think it would be a good way to introduce a newer style of content from the new generation content that people would actually, be excited for.
Absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more with you on that. And, look, something that, I loved about what the guys did from Capital Games is that they actually answered a lot of questions, didn't they? I mean, there were a lot of, and it was interesting to see exactly where the community is thinking and what they're thinking about at the moment, which is really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the Q&A, I've skimmed it a couple times now, actually. And at first I was like, nah, I'm not too excited about this. Some of these questions look stale, you know, and as the good ones kept popping up, it kind of encouraged me to keep checking in a little more. And, you know, I'm really excited with, you know, the thought process of some of the questions. And it also... it puts some transparency out there between the Q&A, and it's not like an instant reaction kind of thing, right? Like I would like to see like something maybe with them in a live stream, or, you know, them presenting themselves in a live environment to where, you know, they could be more projected in a sense. But the one thing that I did take out of all of it, like from the Q&A myself, I would say is they didn't really touch on mods, which makes me think either it's not in the works right now or it's right around the corner, one or the other. And I'm really mainly wondering when they're going to increase the mod cap. Like the mod cap is I know a lot of people were asking about mods and the mod cap in general. RSG's Finity, I know for a fact that he had posted something about mod cap and mods in general, and it was just the one thing I was really looking forward to, but we'll see what happens down the road. Again, I'm not going to let it discourage how this year looks.
Yeah, right? No, absolutely, man, absolutely. Look, I'm really excited, man, for what's to come. You know, I've got no idea what's coming, but all I know is that we're in a good place right now, man. I mean, we've said goodbye to KOTOR, thank goodness for that for the moment. I don't mind if they bring it back later, but just not right now. I mean, we've just had a year of it, so thank you very much. That's great. I'm glad we got those characters. Let's move on. We're in the Clone Wars era now. This is good fun. I can't wait to do some more of this. You know, and, you know, I'd like to do a little bit more in the original trilogy too, and also with the Resistance and First Order. So, you know, I mean, like, I just want to do more with the, you know, with the movie characters, and also, you know, the Phoenix squad. I'd like to see them re-look at Rebels as well, and, you know, while they're in this particular period, that'd be nice. I mean, like, there's particular characters like Rook and other characters as well, man, that'd be sweet to come to this game. But, you know, only time will tell. I mean, see, this is the thing, you know, this game will never die because there's so many characters that we could bring into this game. It just continues, man. You know, we've got the Max Rebo band still to come yet.
I mean, the Inquisitors, there's a lot of Rebels content alone, like you just said, and, you know, you keep backtracking, you know, the Clone Wars and, you know, the original trilogy, like the prequels, like they're obviously doing a great job bringing the prequel characters back to life right now and introducing them into the game and still making them relevant. I mean, the Padme counters are amazing, especially the fact that it's not like a speed-based counter, and health mods are accessible to everyone, and it's just they're bringing everything more relevance, and it's going to be exciting to see like what they do with the episode 9, and you know, what direction they take Rey and what direction they take Kylo Ren, and it's just going to be so much all at once. And, you know, what impact Palpatine's going to have, you know, could we get another Palpatine? Like, there's going to be so many things to go over. And like you said, there's characters for years that they could introduce. And that's why when I brought up the 10-year plan that Carrie responded with, I was just so excited. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in this game basically since day one, and, you know, I look forward to every day to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And will we get a third Rey with the new movie? Hey? Maybe.
Yeah, I totally see it with their journey continuing. I mean, if they've made a precedence to, you know, the Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, and Malak events, I think that going forward, everything else is going to follow suit, right? Like the Jedi Rey, her journey, and then, you know, whatever direction they decide to take her, and then CLS's journey has to continue too as well.
Absolutely, man. And look, they even mentioned it in the Q&A as well, that, you know, maybe there might be a shirtless Kylo, which would be brilliant. No, they won't be. They won't be a shirtless Kylo, but that's what
I'm not opposed. I'm not opposed at all.
No, me either. But anyway, man, hey, look, Zylo, it's always a pleasure, man, to catch up with you. And, you know, look, I'm looking forward to seeing what content you've got coming up, brother. What have you got on the pipeline, man?
Yeah, I mean, with Grand Arena especially coming to a standstill, I'm always trying to, you know, increase my quality and the content style that I'm putting out for my Grand Arena streams. But I've been taking quite a little bit of a break. I've done my few Grand Arena streams the last couple days, and my schedule is changing a little bit at work, so just readjusting to a couple of other things, getting an extra day off too, so I'm going to have a lot more time to do more streams.
Nice.
And mainly I'm just focusing on the player base right now too, and trying to get more involved with people one-on-one and to grow my community a little bit more. And I've been focusing on mainly roster reviews and people coming by. You drop your ally code, your SWGOH.GG on the Discord, and I've been creating some layers to that too. Right now, we already have a couple roster reviews that we've done. We started with some in-game roster reviews with searching the ally code, and the next couple that I have planned down the pipe, we're going through the GG and then kind of altering back and forth too. So whichever way you'd want to look at it, helping with Grand Arena offense and defensive teams, things to aim for, and it's all free content. I'm trying to find a way to give back to the community and make sure that people can get to know me from a personal level too, and get more involved with our player base and the people that we work hard for and keep playing this game with.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on all of that. Make sure you guys go over to Zylo Takedown Games, man, because I'm telling you, this man is an absolute dream when it comes to everything Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I love watching your content, man. It's sensational. I'm glad you're doing it too, man, and I wish you all the success, brother. And look, I hope that we will chat again very, very soon on the Escape Podcast.
Yeah, brother, I look forward to the return, man, and I finally got the paraphrasing down right now. The Escape Podcast.
Absolutely, man. Love it. Absolutely love it. Hey, stick around. We're going to get into the bridge in just a tick right here on the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Podcast with Scotty McLaren and Paul Anthony.
Like what you hear on the Escape Podcast? Want to support Scotty and Paul? Then sign up to be a Patreon. For as low as $2 a month, you can help them launch Escape Pods for months to come. Visit patreon.com/The Escape Pod to sign up. Support us today.
Micaeus Modding Mayhem is the premier remodding service for the game that we all love, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. With some of the most affordable rates in the industry, Micaeus will rebuild your roster from top to bottom and give you consultation on where to go from there. Micaeus has a 100% satisfaction guarantee and lots of useful additional services, including a full cleanup of your mods, loadout pages, PvP plans, and more. Contact Micaeus today on Discord at all lowercase Micaeus number 0127. That's MIKAYAS number 0127, or at micaeusmods@gmail.com. Micaeus Modding Mayhem, the official remodding service of the Escape Podcast.
G'day, this is Scotty McLaren, and I'm here to tell you about one of the many game changes that, of course, started this working relationship between Paul Anthony and myself, and that is, of course, Cubs fan Han.
All right, let's go.
If it wasn't for Cubs fan Han, we wouldn't be a part of the CFH network, and being a part of the CFH network is something that both Paul and myself hold very dear.
Oh, that is not depressing.
If you haven't been and liked Cubs fan Han's channel yet, what are you doing? This man knows a fair bit about the game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Am I Mormon? Who cares about religion? This is Galaxy of Heroes.
Well, most of the time. He does some really cool things on his channel, and one of the many things you should be checking out is the top 25 for each month.
I fully expect that he will be the number one character next month.
He also does live streams for Grand Arena, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't.
I'm not going to make the same mistake I've made before.
And he provides second to none gaming advice for all of you guys.
Snowtrooper might deserve the proverbial shoe to be thrown.
So what are you waiting for? Go and give Cubs fan Han a like today over on YouTube. If you want more details, well, check it out in the description below.
Tournament is so much better this month than it was last month. Oh my goodness.
And as Cubs fan Han always says,
Han shot first.
Hey guys, it's the Nev here. If you want to hear more content from me, please come over to my channel. It's Nev, simple as that. But if you're looking for me and you need to type something in the search, best put in my full name. It's Neil Andrew Eyre. You can also follow me on Twitter at PomPomtastic1, and you can find me on Discord, Nev, #9515. Hope to hear from you soon. Come on over and give me a like and a subscribe.
This is Cubs fan Han, and you're listening to the Escape Podcast.
The Escape Pod Cast. The Bridge.
And finally, guys, welcome back to the final segment of the Escape Pod Cast. Now, normally we would be doing the bridge right now, as you heard coming in, but because we are recording this live because of the stuff that went on and the stuff that Scotty's doing, we are unfortunately unable to take your questions, but don't let that stop you from asking us questions, because what we're going to do, if there is no extra, then our Patreon subscribers at patreon.com/ I think it's Escape Podcast.
It is.
Yeah, so just look in the links and you'll be able to find that. But for that being said, for those who are Patreons, we will be doing a Q&A if there is not an extra. But Scotty, if there's breaking news, hop onto the Discord server right now or play the next episode coming up in just a moment of the Escape Pod Extra, or should I say, the Escape Pod Extra.
Yes, which will be coming your way, hopefully. Yep.
But that being said, we thank you guys very much. The things that we're passionate about, we take this segment to also let you guys know about the things we're passionate about. Of course, you've heard the Patreon thing. Help support us to do this on a monthly basis. We're okay right now as far as Scotty and I being able to take care of this, but we'd like to take it further. And if you guys can help out with that, that'd be great. That being said, we also have two causes that we're doing that. There's two GoFundMes. That's how I should put it, right, Scotty?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The first one is, well, if you will indulge me here, Paul's beautiful wife, Christy, is, as we speak right now, man, currently sitting in the worst place in the world, in a hospital ward, and that's not where we want her. So, help us out, guys. That's you'll see the link in our Discord channel, and also below this link as well for Paul and his beautiful wife, Christy. You need to help us out there, guys. I mean, every time I think of this, when Paul told me he was taking her to the hospital earlier today, man, I'm tearing up just even talking about this, brother. I mean, it's sad, man. And I said to Paul's wife, and as he was taking her, she said that, look, the one thing that she really wants is to make out with an Australian. I said, well, you get yourself better, darling, and I'll make out with you. So there you go. So there you go. That's the lovely insider's wife of Paul. But look, man,
you had to bring that up, you jerk. All right,
I'm sorry, I had to do it, brother.
You show this one to Jody.
Well, mate, I'm sure Jody'd make out with you too, bro. She's always wanted to, hang out with a Houston boy. So it's.
I'm not a swinger, Scotty. I'm sorry.
Well, neither are we. But anyway, mate. No, but seriously, help him out. I mean, the hospital bills are not cheap, the cancer thing, man, it's the same here in Australia, guys. You guys know it too. When someone's going through cancer, man, going through a tough time, financially it can wreck you, and that's the last thing that we want. We don't want Paul or Christy thinking about that, man. So please help us out, guys, please. The other one is for Nev.
And for Nev, yeah. Nev's here in the U.S., can't currently have a job because he's doing things the right way. He's waiting for his work visa. So, with that being said, he can't make income to bring his kids to the U.S. so he can spend the summer with them. And this is a very, very important time for Nev's kids.
Yeah.
So, if you can, another link is going up in the chat, as well as it will be in all of the stuff that we do. If you guys can make either of those happen, and as I said in the commercial earlier, if you cannot afford to spend money, if you don't have the money to help, our most precious resource in our lives is time. If you know somebody that might be able to help, just be like, hey, I can't help this out. You know my current situation. Do you think you can throw $5 towards Nev so he can, they'll go, who the hell's Nev? And you'll just tell them, he's one of the most kindest people that we know. Sitting right next to me right now is a pom-pom-tastic Thrawn that Nev sent me for all we're doing. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I know Carrie's got a Leia, and I know that he's trying to figure out how to get you your very, very own Padme, but
yeah, hell yeah, man! I'll speak to Nev about that.
But shipping's not easy to Australia.
No, it's not. It's not.
It might get attacked by a kangaroo on the way over.
Well, look, just send it through to speak to Kate Nace, man. She'll help you out there, brother. She sends me stuff from New York City all the time, and it's sensational, man. Like I'd be lost without this community. So please help Nev. Please help Paul. I'm doing fine, guys. So don't worry about me. I'm all good, but you don't need to worry about me. But look, Paul. Before we get on out of here, man, there is something big that we do want to talk about, but we'll get to that in just a second. There's one more thing that I wanted to throw out there, man, and that is, of course, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of our listeners, our Patreons, our crew, everyone that works behind the scenes. The Sarlacc and also the Llama, Zed, all you guys, and Savage Diva even, you guys just mean the world to us. So thanks, guys, and thanks for being a part of the show. This show wouldn't be what it is without you guys. So thank you so much.
And welcome back to a lot of our listeners that had dipped off for a little bit and heard the excitement in our voices last week. We welcome them back as well, because it's great to have you from everybody, the cast and the crew and the marketers. I mean, we can't do this without you guys listening, and we couldn't possibly do it without you guys spreading the word. So thank you for spreading the word. But here it comes, Scotty. Here's the announcement.
All right.
Next week.
All right. Hang on. Before you start, man.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I hope you're all sitting down for this, because this is big.
I hope everybody.
Yeah, this is big. Okay. Where's Animal with his drum roll? Animal, are you there? From the Muppet Show? No, sorry. Animal says, no. So unfortunately, we can't do that. But guys, sit down, relax. Turn this up nice and loud for what you're about to hear, because we have been given permission to tell you guys about this little bit.
To make this announcement. Here we go. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, the episode that even we thought would never happen. Capital Games comes aboard the ship and gets into the escape pod.
Indeed they do. The one, the only, CG Carrie. She's going to be strapping herself into a pod. She's going to be sitting down to have a chat to us. And will Paul Anthony be able to control his excitement as we talk about the brand new Territory Battle map right here?
Yeah. I'll be able to control myself. But Scotty, will you be able to control yourself and make it through an interview about new characters without throwing her your credit card right away? Take my money.
Man, that's going to happen. She will be taking my money, but be here next week to find out about all of these things and a whole lot more on the June 7th edition of the Escape Podcasts.
Wait, Scotty, I'm hear someone coming down the hallway right now.
Yeah? I can hear it too.
Scotty, push the button before she gets away.
Okay, don't mind if I do.
What's going on? Where the hell are we? Paris?
Thank you for pressing the self-destruct button.
Attention! This is Colonel Sanders in forward command. Abandon ship! All personnel proceed to escape pods. Close down the circuits. Evacuate the city. Self-destruct mechanism has been activated. Abandon ship! Where is it? It's gotta be here. Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds.
friends, this is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. The Escape Podcast was filmed in front of a live studio audience full of tweaked out murder bears.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.